First Contact Protocol Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching the sleek alien vessel approach through the viewport. 3 months of negotiations had led to this moment, humanity's first formal diplomatic meeting with the Zephyrian Empire. The ship that docked with theirs was a masterpiece of organic curves and crystalline surfaces, nothing like the angular metal constructs humans preferred. "Captain, the Zephyrian delegation is requesting permission to board," Lieutenant Torres announced from her station. Marcus straightened his dress uniform and nodded. "Grant them access to Docking Bay 7. Full diplomatic honors." The walk to the docking bay felt longer than usual. Earth's united government had spent months preparing for this encounter. The Zephyrians controlled 3-star systems rich in quantum crystals that could revolutionize human technology. This meeting could determine whether humanity would trade as equals or remain confined to their small corner of the galaxy. The airlock hissed open with a sound like distant thunder. Marcus waited with his diplomatic team, trying to project confidence while his heart hammered against his ribs. The first figure to emerge was tall and imposing, clearly male, with skin that shifted between silver and deep blue. Ambassador Catherine, their primary contact, but it was the second figure that made Marcus forget his carefully rehearsed greeting. She moved with liquid grace, her form humanoid but distinctly alien. Her skin held the same color-shifting quality as her companion, but where his was bold and metallic, hers shimmered like captured starlight. Her hair, if it could be called hair, flowed like liquid mercury, catching the station's lights and throwing them back in prismatic cascades. Her eyes were large and luminous, the color of nebulae viewed through telescope lenses. Marcus stared, completely captivated. She was beautiful in a way that transcended species, a living work of art that spoke to something fundamental in his human appreciation for beauty. The moment stretched too long. The alien woman's gaze met his, and something extraordinary happened. The shifting colors of her skin deepened, taking on warmer hues, purples and roses that definitely hadn't been there before. Her large eyes widened slightly, and she took a half-step backward. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus," Marcus finally managed, his voice rougher than intended. Ambassador Catherine stepped forward smoothly. "Captain Kane, allow me to present Science Liaison Velithara. She will be observing your technological capabilities as part of our cultural exchange." Velithara inclined her head formally, but Marcus noticed how her eyes kept darting back to his face before looking away. The color changes in her skin continued, creating patterns he couldn't interpret but somehow found mesmerizing. "It is an honor," she said, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Your species is more intriguing than our reports indicated." Marcus felt heat rise in his cheeks and wondered if his own obvious reaction was as visible to her as hers was to him. Cultural misunderstanding their days into the diplomatic visit. Marcus found himself constantly aware of Velithara's presence. She attended every briefing, took notes on a device that looked like crystallized music, and asked questions that revealed a brilliant scientific mind. But it was the way she looked at him, quick glances followed by that fascinating color shift in her skin, that occupied his thoughts. Dr. James Morrison, the Prometheus's chief medical officer, had been assigned as her guide to human physiology and technology. He found Marcus in the observation deck after the latest presentation on human space navigation. "Captain, we might have a problem," Morrison said, settling into the chair beside him. "Or an opportunity, depending on how you look at it." Marcus watched a Zephyrian shuttle perform elegant maneuvers around their ship, explain. "I've been monitoring Liaison Velithara's biometrics, standard protocol for alien guests. Her physiological responses are interesting. Elevated circulation, increased neural activity, hormone fluctuations that mirror human attraction responses." Marcus turned sharply. "You're saying she's attracted to me. I'm saying her body is responding to you the same way a human woman's would if she found a man appealing. But here's the thing, I don't think she realizes it's visible to us." That evening, Marcus joined the Zephyrian delegation for dinner in the diplomatic quarters. The meal was a careful balance of human and Zephyrian cuisine, with dishes that wouldn't poison either species. Velithara sat across from him and every time their eyes met, her skin bloomed with those warm, telling colors. Liaison Velithara, Marcus began carefully. I hope our facilities have been adequate for your research. More than adequate, Captain. She replied. Your species has achieved remarkable things with limited resources. Your ship designs are aesthetically pleasing. Ambassador Catherine made a sound that might have been amusement. Velithara has always appreciated functional beauty. Among our people, she is considered something of an expert on design harmony. The colors in Velithara's skin deepened to what Marcus was beginning to recognize as embarrassment. Uncle, please, uncle. That explained the familiar way Catherine treated her. Marcus filed the information away and decided to test his growing theory. Beauty is universal, I think, he said, meeting her gaze directly. Some things transcend species barriers. The response was immediate and unmistakable. Velithara's skin blazed with warm purples and golds, the colors swirling across her features like aurora borealis. She looked down at her food, clearly flustered. Yes, perhaps that is true, she murmured. Later, as the delegation prepared to return to their ship, Marcus found himself alone with Velithara in the corridor. She was studying a star chart on the wall, but he suspected she was really avoiding looking at him. Your skin, he said gently. The color changes. They mean something, don't they? She froze, her back still to him. You have observed this. It's beautiful, Marcus said honestly. Like watching emotions painted in light. She turned then, her expression vulnerable in a way that made his chest tight. Among my people, such displays are private. I cannot control them around you. Why do you think that is? Her skin shifted through a dozen hues before settling on a soft silver blue. I believe your human word would be attraction. Dangerous discovery's revelation changed everything between them. Over the following days, Velithara's official duties became secondary to the growing connection she shared with Marcus. They found reasons to spend time together, reviewing star charts, discussing xenobiology, sharing stories of their respective worlds. Marcus learned that Zephyrians lived for centuries, that their color-changing skin was linked to both emotion and health, and that Velithara was considered young by her people's standards at only 87 years old. She learned that humans lived brief, passionate lives, that they fell in love quickly and completely, and that Marcus had never met anyone who made him feel the way she did. Your species fascinates me, Velithara said as they stood in the arboretum, surrounded by earth plants she'd requested to see. You accomplish so much in such short lifespans. You burn bright and fast, like stars. And your people? Marcus asked, watching how her skin reflected the green light filtering through the leaves. We endure. We plan. We rarely feel things with the intensity you humans seem to experience naturally. She touched a rose bloom carefully. I have never understood the appeal until now. Their moment was interrupted by Lieutenant Torres's voice over the comm. Captain, to the bridge. Priority 1. Marcus reluctantly left Velithara in the arboretum and hurried to the bridge. What he found there made his blood run cold. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from the Zephyrian homeworld, Torres reported. They're not happy. The main screen showed a stern-faced Zephyrian official, his skin a rigid metallic gray that suggested barely controlled anger. Captain Kane, the official said without preamble. I am High Commander Zethkor of the Zephyrian Defense Council. We have been monitoring the diplomatic exchange between our peoples with growing concern. Marcus kept his expression neutral. How may I assist you, High Commander? Our biosensors indicate that Science Liaison Velithara has been experiencing significant physiological responses during her stay on your vessel, responses that suggest inappropriate contact with your species. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. I assure you, High Commander, Liaison Velithara has been treated with the utmost respect. Nevertheless, her compromised state has become apparent to our monitoring systems. Velithara is not simply a scientist, Captain Kane. She is third in line to the Zephyrian throne, and her potential pairing has significant political implications. For our empire, Marcus felt the deck shift beneath his feet. She never mentioned, because she was instructed not to. This was meant to be a simple diplomatic evaluation. Instead, It appears your species has some sort of effect on our biology that we did not anticipate. On the screen, Zethkor's skin darkened further. Liaison Velathara will return to the homeworld immediately for medical evaluation and adjustment. Any attempt to interfere with this process will be considered an act of aggression against the Zephyrian Empire. The transmission ended, leaving Marcus staring at a blank screen. Round him, his bridge crew exchanged worried glances. "Sir," Torres asked quietly. Marcus was already moving toward the exit. "Maintain current position. Monitor all communications. And get me Dr. Morrison, now." He found Velathara still in the arboretum, but she was no longer admiring the flowers. She sat on a bench, her skin a shifting pattern of distress signals he was learning to read. "You heard," she said without looking up. "Princess," Marcus said, the title feeling strange on his tongue. She laughed bitterly. "Third princess of a dying bloodline. My uncle hoped this mission might help me find purpose beyond political marriage arrangements." Marcus sat beside her. "What happens now? Now I return home for adjustment. They will use neural dampeners to suppress whatever response you trigger. In me, I will become properly Zephyrian again, cold, controlled, dutiful. And if you refuse?" Her skin blazed with angry reds and oranges. "Then I am exiled, and humanity loses its chance at alliance with the Zephyrian Empire. 3-star systems worth of quantum crystals, Marcus, the future of your space exploration. I will not let my selfish desires destroy that." Marcus reached for her hand, then stopped himself. Even that simple contact might be monitored now. There has to be another way. Velathara's skin shifted to deep purples and blues. Sadness, he realized. In all my years studying xenobiology, I never encountered anything like this. Your species triggers something in our neural chemistry that we do not understand. It is unprecedented. Then maybe, Marcus said carefully, it's time to find out why. The Discovery Dr. Morrison's emergency research team worked through the night, analyzing blood samples, neural patterns, and biosignatures from both species. Marcus paced the medical bay while Velathara submitted to scan after scan. Her skin, a constant flux of colors that spoke of deep concern. "Captain," Morrison finally said, pulling up holographic displays of complex molecular structures, "I think we found something extraordinary." Marcus and Velathara gathered around the display. "What are we looking at?" "Compatibility markers," Morrison said, highlighting specific genetic sequences. "But not just any compatibility. We're talking about a genetic harmony that shouldn't exist between species, that evolved on different worlds." Velathara leaned forward, her scientific training overriding her emotional distress. "These protein chains, they are complementary to human markers, more than complementary. They're designed to fit together, like puzzle pieces that were separated and evolved independently but still match perfectly." Marcus stared at the data. "What does that mean?" Morrison's expression was grim. "It means either we're looking at the most impossible coincidence in galactic history, or our species have a common origin we don't know about." Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Lieutenant Torres's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain, to the bridge immediately." Zephyrian war fleet dropping out of hyperspace. Marcus ran to the bridge with Velathara close behind. Through the viewport, he could see them, 12 sleek Zephyrian cruisers in attack formation, their weapons powered and aimed at the Prometheus. "Incoming transmission," Torres reported. High Commander Zethkor appeared on screen, his skin now the deep black of barely contained rage. "Captain Kane, you will surrender Science Liaison Velathara immediately, or we will take her by force, Uncle." "Please," Velathara stepped into view of the transmission. "Give us time to understand what we have discovered." "Enough," Zethkor's voice boomed. "You have been compromised by alien influence. We will not allow their contamination to spread further through our species." Marcus moved to stand beside Velathara. "High Commander, our research suggests there may be a deeper connection between our peoples than either of us realized. Human lies to delay the inevitable. You have 30 seconds to comply." The transmission ended. Around the bridge, Marcus's crew prepared for what seemed like inevitable combat against overwhelming odds. "Captain," Velathara said quietly, "there is something I must tell you. My people have encountered humans before." Marcus turned sharply. "What? Centuries ago? Before your species achieved space flight, Zephyrian explorers found your world. They observed you but followed non-interference protocols." However, she hesitated, her skin shifting to deep purples. "However, several explorers went missing during that expedition. They were presumed dead, but what if they were not? What if they integrated with your population?" Dr. Morrison's voice came through the calm system. "Captain, you need to see this. I've been running comparisons with human genetic databases. There are markers in our DNA that match Zephyrian sequences, but only in about 10% of the population." Marcus felt the pieces clicking together. "You're saying some humans are part Zephyrian?" "I'm saying some humans are descendants of Zephyrians who chose to stay on Earth centuries ago." On the view screen, weapons fire began charging on the Zephyrian ships, and I'm saying, Morrison continued, that Captain Kane's genetic profile shows those markers. He's not just compatible with Zephyrian biology, he's got Zephyrian ancestry. Velathara stared at Marcus, her skin cycling through colors he'd never seen before. "You are like me," she whispered. 10 seconds, Captain Torres called out. Marcus made a decision that would change the course of both species. He opened a channel to the Zephyrian fleet. "High Commander Zethkor, I am formally requesting parley under ancient Zephyrian law. I claim blood right to be heard." The charging weapons paused. On screen, Zethkor's expression shifted from rage to confusion. "Impossible. You are human." "I am both," Marcus said firmly. "And I have something to tell you about the explorers your people lost on Earth 300 years ago." Blood and starched parley took place aboard the Zephyrian flagship, with Marcus accompanied by Dr. Morrison and a full genetic analysis of his bloodline. Velathara had insisted on coming, despite the obvious risks. High Commander Zethkor sat in a crystalline throne that seemed to grow from the ship's organic walls. Around him, the Zephyrian Defense Council observed with expressions ranging from skepticism to barely concealed hostility. "Present your evidence, human," Zethkor said coldly. Morrison activated a holographic display showing genetic sequences. "High Commander, Captain Kane carries markers that are distinctly Zephyrian. But more than that, his genetic pattern is a near-perfect match for Explorer Kethavan of the Lost Wanderer expedition." A murmur went through the assembled Zephyrians. Velathara's skin blazed with excitement and vindication. "Kethavan was my great-grandfather's brother," Zethkor said slowly. "Lost with 11 other explorers on a primitive world 3 centuries ago." "Not lost," Marcus said. "Integrated. They chose to stay on Earth, to live among humans. Over generations, their bloodlines merged with ours, creating hybrids." One of the council members spat, his skin flashing angry reds. "Creating bridges." Velathara countered. "Uncle, do you not see? This is why I respond to Captain Kane the way I do. His Zephyrian heritage calls to mine, but his human passion awakens something in me that pure Zephyrian blood cannot." Zethkor studied the genetic data carefully. "Even if this is true, it changes nothing. Velathara remains third in line to the throne. Her pairing must serve the Empire's interests." "What if it does?" Marcus stepped forward. "High Commander, Earth's population includes millions of people with Zephyrian ancestry. We just never knew it. A formal alliance between our peoples wouldn't just be political. It would be a reunification of separated family. The quantum crystal trade routes," Morrison added, "could be managed jointly. Zephyrian longevity and patience combined with human innovation and adaptability. Both species would benefit." For long moments, the only sound in the chamber was the organic ship's heartbeat-like pulse. Finally, Zethkor spoke. "There's precedent in our law for bloodline reunification, but it would require formal bonding ceremonies, genetic verification, and—" he looked directly at Marcus and Velathara, "proof that such unions produce stable offspring." Velathara's skin shifted through a dozen shades before settling on warm golds and silvers. "You are suggesting—" "I am suggesting that if science liaison Velathara chooses to bond with Captain Kane, and if their union proves genetically viable, it could serve as the foundation for a new treaty between our peoples." Marcus felt his heart racing. And if we refuse, Zephkor's expression hardened slightly. Then Velathara returns to the homeworld. The Defense Council declares humans a genetic threat to Zephyrian purity, and your species remains confined to your single-star system. The choice was impossible and obvious at the same time. Marcus looked at Velathara, seeing his own feelings reflected in the warm colors, dancing across her skin. What does bonding involve? He asked. Genetic compatibility testing, neural synchronization, and a commitment that spans both our lifespans, Velathara said softly. For you, that would mean life extension technology to match my longevity. For me, it would mean embracing the emotional intensity of human experience. And if our children inherit both traits, Marcus asked, then they become the first generation of a new branch of evolution, Zephkor said. Part human. Passion, part Zephyrian wisdom. They could be the future both our species need. Marcus thought of humanity's dreams of expansion, of the quantum crystals that could power ships to distant galaxies, of the chance to be something more than just another species, struggling alone in the vast cosmos. But mostly, he thought of Velathara, brilliant, beautiful, brave enough to risk everything for the possibility of love. When do we start the bonding ceremony? He asked. Velathara's skin blazed like a sunset, and for the first time since they'd met, Marcus could read the colors clearly: joy, hope, love, and the promise of infinite possibilities. 6 months later, the UES Prometheus served as the flagship for humanity's first joint deep space exploration mission with the Zephyrian Empire. Captain Marcus Kane and science liaison Velathara Kane stood on the bridge, watching new stars wheel past as their combined fleets pushed deeper into uncharted space. Then either species had gone alone. Their bond had proven more than just politically convenient. It had opened new frontiers in genetics, psychology, and what it meant to be conscious beings in an infinite universe. And when Velathara's skin shifted to the deep, warm gold that meant new life growing within her, Marcus knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. The future belonged to the children of two species who had found each other across the vast darkness between stars, proving that love truly was the most powerful force in the universe.